Our next speaker needs no introduction. I will just say one thing about her. She holds a BSc in Electrical Engineering and Computer Science from the Tel Aviv University. It is with great honor I want to call the Israeli Minister of Justice, Ayelet, to the stage.
Good morning. Okay, I feel at home. I studied here 4 years in the Faculty of Engineering. It wasn't easy. Actually, it was one of the most difficult periods in my life. But you see, so after learning electronic engineering here in Tel Aviv, I became a justice minister. So maybe it was worth it. It is a pleasure for me to be here today as part of the involving discussion on one of the most challenging policy issues democratic governments deal with today: how to secure cyberspace while maintaining its open and innovative nature. As I talk to you today, I have dual hats, so to speak. As Minister of Justice, I feel heavy responsibility in promoting a legal framework for a secure cyber environment. At the same time, as a computer engineer by training and former member of the high-tech community, I am deeply committed to preserving the spirit of technological innovation and drives our society and minimize regulations and control. So when I think about the rule of law in cyberspace, I understand the need to bridge the gap between law, which embodies our values and ideals, and the technological reality. The challenges the democratic state face today call us to action. Action in which lawyers, policymakers, technologists come together, like in this conference, to discuss and develop the next generation of legal norms for the 21st century. Let me start by talking about the risks and challenges from a perspective of the government. A few years ago, some leading figures spoke about cyber Armageddon, but the threat assessment has changed in recent years. James Clapper, Director of National Intelligence in the US, in remarks he made in 2015 to the Senate Armed Services Committee, said that while the threats of cyber Armageddon remains, we've been living with a constant and expanding barrage of cyber attacks for some time. Cyber attacks from both state and non-state actors, including terror groups as well as cybercrime, form part of this virtual front that states are being called upon to defend. I use the word front and not battlefield because it is so much more complex than a traditional battlefield. In this virtual front, the number of malicious actors, their technical capabilities, the scope of their attack methods, and the range of targets are constantly increasing. These threats undermine trust in cyberspace as an open domain which enables the free flow of information, capital and services, promotes innovation, and enhances overall welfare. Therefore, governments are called upon to step in what was traditionally viewed as a private playing field, and are compelled to invest resources in enhancing their cyber capabilities to confront these threats. Today, as ever, Israel is determined to defend its cyber domain. Cyber defense obviously takes many forms, but what I like to focus on today is the leading role that the Ministry of Justice plays domestically and internationally to promote a modern legal environment where security and innovation in cyberspace go hand in hand, so that Israel can be not only a leader in technology, but also a leader in cybersecurity law, And I want to emphasize that I'm very proud of the Israeli cyber industry. I think it's one of the most strong industry in the world in this field. I'll start first discussing the international aspect of cyber law and policy. The fact that cyberspace is global in nature and the information flows across borders challenges traditional notion of how international law applies to cyberspace. International law is very much evolving, and many international forums are raising a variety of legal questions with a very real implications. Of course, from Israel's perspective, it is a given that international law applies to the cyber domain. At the same time, the international community is seeking to better define how existing international law applies to the questions that are raised from cyber attacks. For example, the need to take effective measures against attacks by non-state actors and the need to confront cyber terrorism at the international level. As you know, Israel has significant expertise in this area, and we have much to contribute to the international dialogue. As such, the Office of the Deputy Attorney General for International Law within the Ministry of Justice takes an active part in advising the National Cyber Bureau on international law questions and in practicing in some of the international forums. In my view, international law has to provide effective and realistic tools to enable states to defend themselves, and we are committed to taking a leading role in the international conversation. Turning now to domestic legislation in the field of cybersecurity. One cornerstone of Israel's cybersecurity strategy, adopted in 2015, is the need to better private sector and public sector cooperation in cyber defense. Cyberspace is made up of public and private organizations and their networks, and much of the infrastructure and functions that government aim to protect is operated or supplied by the private sector. Though the government needs to strongly engage with the private sector in order to carry out its role as provider of security and safety. The Ministry of Justice is working closely with Israel National Cyber Bureau to develop a new cybersecurity law. By defining a clear, coherent legal framework to implement Israel's cybersecurity strategy, we can promote the secure and safe functioning of cyberspace and vibrant online domain, which will preserve the benefits we have reaped from this space in the last 20 years. Another important pillar in the defense of cyberspace is the field of law enforcement. Cybercrime and cyberterrorism pose numerous challenges, such as the ease with which malicious actors can attain anonymity and encrypt their communication. Another challenge is the cross-border aspect of cybercrime and cyberterrorism, which enables malicious actors to evade the jurisdiction of legislative and judicial authorities, making it difficult or impossible to collect evidence abroad. Finally, the decentralized and structured nature of cyberspace services and platforms make it difficult to stop prohibited activity and impose liability. Terrorist groups and organized crime take advantage of those features that are moving a substantial part of their activities online. Cybercrime today is the fastest growing criminal activity, and the economic damage is caused surpasses that other criminal activities. Cyberterrorism also poses a significant threat. Cyberspace is used for incitement and radicalization, recruitment and communication between terrorists, and it is also a target to terror activities. To handle these challenges, the Ministry of Justice has established in the last year, since I was appointed as minister, a dedicated cybercrime and cyberterrorism department within the State Attorney Office dealing with the entire range of offenses from online fraud to child pornography to cyber terrorism. One main area of focus is large internet companies, platforms, and content providers such as Google, Facebook, Twitter, and Microsoft. Democrats across the world are grappling with difficult questions regarding what kind of regulation should be applied to those companies while preserving the open nature of the internet. Israel wants to maintain its leading position as a world-class high-tech hub, and I am a firm believer in removing regulatory obstacles so that innovation and investment can continue to thrive here. At the same time, I think we need to acknowledge the fact that some very severe crimes are being conducted and incited through those platforms, such that there should be some measures of accountability for internet companies regarding the illegal activities and content that is published through their services. There should be cooperation mechanism with the government so the companies can deal with these types of content, at the very least if they are notified that a crime is being committed through their platform. The Ministry of Justice is taking a leading role in this. For example, we are promoting cooperation with content providers, sensitizing them as to content that violate Israeli law or the provider's term of service. We are also working on draft legislation similar to what is being done in other countries, one law that will allow for judicial injunction to order a removal of a certain content, such as websites that incite to terrorism, and one law that would limit access to certain websites, like websites that distribute child pornography. In each case, we are talking about content and websites that reach a particularly high threshold of criminal severity. These are issues that I have personally raised with other justice ministers across the world. I have also established a committee to deal with a subject I care deeply about, cyberbullying and online shaming. I should also mention that Israel has recently ratified the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime. This important instrument will assist Israeli law enforcement authorities in addressing some of the cybercrime challenges I mentioned previously. To conclude, the Ministry of Justice is investing considerable resources in promoting a sound, pain-pointed and technological-aware approach to cybersecurity regulation in a manner that balances between different goals, interests, and consistent with democratic values. This brings me full cycle to my earlier point. Law and innovation should not be seen as competing values, but as a mutually converging interest. My hope is that throughout constructive dialogue, both domestically and abroad, we can ensure that the law remains a useful social tool to promote a safe society. Israel is a leader in cybersecurity technology, and I believe that we are poised to become a leader in cybersecurity law as well. I thank you again for the opportunity to share some of the views held by the Ministry of Justice, and wish you all an enjoyable and informative week. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.